would you define nationalism? Basically, in layman words, we can say that nationalism is a sentiment of identity, self-identity as a nation, of pride, and a cumulative patriotic sentiments against the Britishers who had been exploiting us for years since their arrival in the 1600s. Here are a few images. All these images denote the sentiment of Indian nationalism. The Swadeshi movement, the usage of charkha, spinning wheel, boycotting and picketing of the British goods, mass mobilization, the revolt of 1857. We've embarked upon a journey of multiple movements against the British as a sense of protest, as a way of protest against their exploitation that they have been doing upon us for years now. So, to begin with, let's the timeline of this video, the timeline that we'll discuss in this video shall be 1914 to 1990. All the major events, all the important aspects during this timeline of 1814 to 1819, we'll be discussing it right now. So 1914, we are all aware that the World War I was taking place and the Britishers were involved in the war against various European countries. But what was its relevance? How did that World War I, when the Britishers were fighting, they were indulged, how did it really affect the Indian citizens? We'll discuss that. A very precise point, बहुत जनरल सी बात है कि अगर कोई कंट्री वॉर पे जाएगी तो उसके विद टाइम उनकी जो मिलिट्री एक्सपेंडिचर है, जो कॉम्पोनेंट्स है, एम्यूनिशन है, वो सब डिप्लीट होगी अलॉन्ग विद द मैन पावर. लेकिन उसको एड करने के लिए आप कहाँ से एक्सपेंडिचर लाएंगे? तो हमें पता है कि इंडिया वाज अ कॉलोनी ऑफ द ब्रिटिशर्स एंड दैट दे हैड इम्पोज्ड वेरी heavy taxes on the Indian peasants, on the Indian population. तो उन्होंने क्या किया? जितना टैक्सेस चल रहा था उसको बढ़ा दिया. टैक्सेस बढ़े तो उनके पास फंड्स आ रहा है, तो उनका मिलिट्री एक्सपेंडिचर एड हो गया. तो ये रेलेवेंस है जहाँ पे हम और भी ज्यादा परेशान होने लगे एज एन इंडियन पॉपुलेशन, यू नो, अंडर द टायरनी ऑफ द ब्रिटिशर्स. So from here, in this timeline, here comes the main aspect how we really started revolting. And to aid that revolt, to guide us through, came Mahatma Gandhi from South Africa in 1915. Gandhi ji was known for his fight against the racial discrimination against the Europeans in South Africa. And then in this timeline, you can see the relevance of World War I and the things and the movements that followed later. But before that, we still have some things to discuss. From 1914, we understand the relevance. 1915, Gandhiji comes back from South Africa, and then he also brings along with him the ideology, concept of Satyagraha, which is basically a way of being truthful and non-violent. Through non-cooperation, you can emphasize on the truth and fight any enemy. So here, in our case, it was the British. Eventually, Gandhiji got to know of all our problems, the peoples at varied places they were facing, the communities, the problems they were facing, and then he embarked upon multiple events of Satyagraha. In 1916, he carried out Champaran Satyagraha. Then after that, 1917, he embarked upon the Khera Satyagraha, and finally it was in 1918 that Gandhiji carried out Ahmedabad Hill Strike. All these three campaigns consecutively were successful one after the another, which eventually threatened the consolidation of power of the Britishers. अब आप बताइए कि अगर ब्रिटिशर्स ने इतना टाइम लेके अपना पूरा एम्पायर यहाँ जमाया है, तो ऑब्वियसली दे विल फील थ्रेटेंड. अब उसके लिए वो भी कुछ रिएक्शंस होंगे उनके, वो कुछ एक्शंस लेंगे, प्रोटेस्ट करेंगे. तो अब ऐसा है कि अब हम बात करेंगे 1918 तक यहाँ बात आ गई। अब हम करेंगे बात 1919 की। All the things that happened later on. जब गांधी जी ने रिवोल्ट शुरू किया अगेंस्ट द ब्रिटिशर्स इन द 1919s, after the successful acts of satyagraha, Britishers had to do something about the situation, all the successful situation. So they discussed in their assembly, the Indian Legislative Assembly, and they devised a plan of implementing the Rowlatt Act, which is called the Black Act, in 1919. So the Black Act basically implemented suspension and jail of Indian citizens just on the basis of suspicion. अब आप इस चीज को ऐसे देखिए कि कोई वेंडर खड़ा है, अपनी सब्जियां बेच रहा है इन द हार्ड टाइम्स, और ब्रिटिशर्स आते हैं और उसको उठा के जेल में डाल देते हैं। कोई ट्रायल नहीं, उनका कोई वो बेल नहीं ले सकते, कुछ नहीं कर सकते। ये तो बहुत गलत चीज है। हमें कैसे पता कि वो वेंडर क्या सोच रहा है? ब्रिटिशर्स को कैसे पता कि वो क्या सोच रहा है, कि वो वो प्रोटेस्ट करेगा? तो ये तो बहुत गलत है। अगेंस्ट द ऑपोजिशन ऑफ द ILC, Rowlatt Act was implemented, and then we again, being citizens who are being exploited, we again protested peacefully and even violently, even using satyagraha. This again didn't settle well with the Britishers, so they implemented the martial law on April 10th. Martial law basically the implementation of military on the roads, wherein they devise peace through calming down the riots, rather shooting people at sight. अब मार्शल लॉ क्या, इससे भी हमें प्रॉब्लम है क्योंकि ये बहुत गलत चीज है। तो अब जलियांवाला बाग वाला डे आया, जिस दिन बैसाखी थी, on 13th April 1919. Baisakhi was celebrated amongst the people, and the people of the area in Amritsar of Jalandhar, they decided to celebrate Baisakhi and also peacefully protest against the martial law and the Rowlatt Act. And there this event happened, wherein General Dyer walked in with his troops and he commanded them to open fire on all the hundreds and thousands of men, women, children that had gathered there. This was a very haunting and a very brutal event that took place, which was later known as the Jallianwala Bagh Massacre in 1919. And following this, obviously Gandhi ji now felt that we need to launch a broader movement to protest and free ourselves from the British tyranny and exploitation. So later on now, in the next video, we will discuss the non-cooperation movement and the Khilafat movement that was taken as a step against this Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Thank you.